Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Zoe and in today's video I want to talk about all the books that I read in April. It's May now, so I read it in April. I have my iPad here, I have my book journal here, and let's look up first some stats. For that I'll go to Storygraph. The thing is, I don't even know what to say anymore. Because in March, if you watch my March wrap up, hello, I will link this here. I read a lot in March. I read, I think, 19 books. This month I read more. I don't know how this has happened, but I read 21 books in April. Which is 8,267, wait, 21 books, 8,267 pages. And this sounds a lot, but I can tell you, thanks for Storygraph for that I read more books this month, like per book, but I read more pages in March. So I read 18 books in March, but I read around 200 pages more in March than I read in April. So for all that are now like, oh my god, she read 21 books. Yes, but I read not that much pages like I did in March. So I would say definitely check out the amount of pages that you read per month, and not really how many books you read per month, because this is more interesting. But yeah, my month was really interesting stat-wise, because I read around 11 romance books, which is crazy. And I have one star, two stars, a lot of 3 stars, I think around 8, 6 4 stars, and 4 5 stars. And my average rating is 3.48, which is amazing. I think February was a little bit better. I think that I had a 3.5 star rating, but the amount of books that I read, I can definitely tell you that this month, April was a really great reading month for me. I can tell you now also how many I read a lot of I listened again to 13 audiobooks. I think this is my main thing, how I can actually read that much. So if you are in a slump or you're not feeling like reading at the moment, I would say definitely check out audiobooks, because audiobooks helped me a lot in the last 2 months with getting my reading done, especially after now I had COVID in March, and after that my concentration with my eyes it's just horrible, and I can't really concentrate on words anymore. So audiobooks are really my savior for all of the problems that I have now. Let's go to my one and only 1 star. If you're liking this book, I'm so happy for you. It was just a no for me. There was nothing really bad about this book, I just didn't enjoy it. So this is why I ended up giving this a 1 star. So please don't be offended by it, but I give Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber 1 star. Bye to all my followers. I love to have you here, but yeah, what was my problem with that? You follow in the story Evangeline, and she is just in love with this man, but the man wants to marry her stepsister, even though they were in a relationship. So she tried to make a deal with the Prince of Hearts so he stops the wedding, and it turns out that this was a terrible choice that she made, because she didn't think about it, and she tries to stop it. And after that a lot of events happen over and over again, and my problem was most of the time with that it was just one bad choice after one bad choice, because she didn't think about 1 second what she's doing. Like all the people like, you can't trust this person, and she was like, I'm fine. And then she trusts this person, and then she was, oh my god, I was not fine. I'm like, girl, can you please use your brain cells that you have for 1 second and think about what you're doing? And also, Evangeline cares so much of people who will not show up to her funeral if she dies. The people around her do not care about her, and she doesn't get that. She's so blind for that. I don't know. This was just a no for me. And also that she is the chosen one for something. I'm like, no. It just was a no for me. But I can definitely see why people liking this. But it was just a no for me, because I don't vibe with YA fantasy anymore. Okay? So it was my fault. I will take definitely the blame on my side. So now let's get to my two stars. The first one is Ashington. I don't know how this book is. I think the English title is Glitter. And this is by Abbi Glines. I don't know how the English cover is for that, but I don't know if you can see this here. This is the English title. German. I will show you the cover here somewhere. And if it reminds you of Bridgerton, then you're right, because this is a copy of Bridgerton, but in a bad way. And the Bridgerton books, I think the Bridgerton books are already bad. We'll come to this in a second, okay? But I think they're already bad, but this one tops it. Because you follow, how does she call again? Okay. We follow Miriam. Miriam doesn't want to get married, but she has a little sister that she needs to take care of because her family is poor. But they have still a good representation, like their family standard is still high. So she tries to find a marriage man that she can marry. And then she finds, how does he call again? Hugh Compton, the Earl of Ashington. And she is not really a big fan of him, but he has also his secrets. He has also someone he needs to take care of, and so she gets him. And so far the story is good, but then the brother from Hugh shows up, and he gets also POV in the story. It's multiple POV. You have Miriam, you have Lord Ashington, Hugh, and then his brother Nicholas. Yes, Nicholas. And Nicholas wants to take revenge of his brother Hugh, because something happened. You will never know what happened in the story. You don't know it. It doesn't get mentioned. You just know that he wants to take revenge, and he is so bad at it to take revenge, because like, oh, I'm such a good man, and every girl, I can make every woman to fall in love with me, and I definitely know Miriam falls in love with me and is in love with me. And then you read Miriam's POV, and she's like, this is such a ass. I don't like him. I know that he wants to take something revenge on his brother, and I don't want to be part of this. Like, he's so stupid. And then you follow the story, and the end was so shitty, because when the plot twist is announced, like they talk about the plot, it cuts off and goes to the epilogue immediately, 10 years after that. And then you read the epilogue, and I was so distanced, because my hate for Nicholas was so high at this point that you didn't see how his character develops and how he changed, because you cut off from him being an asshole to him being accepted in the family as a important family member, but you don't get the middle part of how they resolve all the problems that they have with him. And so I ended up not liking this, because I think Abbi Glines is missing the spot of what historical romance books are, and this is not that. And it's just, I hate him. I hate Nicholas. I hate him with every part of my soul, and no, it was just a no for me. And the second book that I give 2 stars, and also if you stayed here till now and didn't unfollow my channel, you will definitely now do it. So bye for all my followers. But I give 2 stars to It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. My thing is with that, also my fault, not the book's fault. I understand when you're liking this, but I don't care for rich people drama. She is like this rich girl who is like partying girl, it girl, and I don't fucking care about her. When she's got to this town, to her stepfather sends her to this town, that she develops some, like, I don't know, responsibilities, and with no money, and I couldn't care less. All the time I listened to the audiobook, I always had the song in my mind from Leslie Clio, when she said, I couldn't care less, but I never tried. And I couldn't care less. And also the fact that her sister, Hannah, who's younger than her, has more her shit together than Piper has. I don't know even what to say. And the worst thing about this whole book was not Piper and her attitude and that she's a rich girl, but also Brandon. I know Brandon was a big no for me, because when he first met Piper, I'm 400% sure when I would met Piper in real life, I would also not like her. But I would never say this directly to her face in the first meeting without even know who she is. I mean, people can, the first impression of people can be different, and you can talk to people. But Brandon chose to be an asshole to her in the first meeting and in the first greeting that they ever had. And also, if toxic masculinity has one picture, it will be Brandon. Or Brandon would be part of that. Because I don't know, after he told her that no woman allowed on his ship because it's bad luck, I'm like, dude, can you go back to the 1800s where you're coming from, or what's your fucking problem? And yeah, and all these sex scenes that are described, it was such cringy, and I, like, can authors please stop writing sex scene on hospitals? I work in a hospital, and hospitals are getting cleaned, yeah. There are people working there who clean the space, but don't rub your genitals on hospital stuff. Don't do it. Really, don't. Now let's get to all my 3 stars. It's a lot. So, and because I talked about It Happened One Summer as a duology, let's get to Hook, Line and Sinker, because Hook, Line and Sinker was a 3-star for me. And we follow here Hannah. I liked her story a lot more because she is a rich girl, but she has her shit together. She can cook, she can take care of herself. She doesn't need the help of everyone to do basic things. She has her shit together, she has a job, she wants to have a career, go for it. And she is in this, has this friendship with Fox. First off, I really enjoyed their friendship because they were cute together, and then Hannah goes to this town because of her job, and they're filming a movie in this town where Fox and Brandon and now Piper are living. And she goes there and she's living with Fox, and they have the sexual tension, and the first problem was they can't be together because, like, Hannah is still the sister from Piper, and Piper, you know, it's a romance book. What do you expect of the end of a romance book? What's happened with the main characters? Of course they're ended up together. So, and Fox is the best friend of Brandon, so they have like this little going on. And also Fox is a womanizer. He had a lot of sex with other women. And yeah, so I get the first, like, problem for me is, I think it's not actually a problem. They are adults, they can talk about the problems. I think it's really a problem that only, like, I don't know what kind of persons are seeing this as a problem. But yeah, they're making this a problem. Okay, I get it. Do it. Okay, that's police and fire department. Okay, but Fox turns into a man who's whining about his past decisions, and I can't stand it. You know, if I would meet Fox for dating and he would tell me that he slept with a lot of women, it wouldn't bother me. Because why? Why should it bother me? I mean, when he doesn't sleep with a lot of women now, when we are currently dating, it's not a big problem for me. But I would start hating him for whining about his decisions. Like, no one forced you to have sex with a lot of women. This was your decision, so stand by it, but stop crying about it. Thank you. So I'm not giving this 3 stars. It was a lot better than It Happened One Summer because the connection between them were a lot better. But I also realized that I'm not a big fan of the sex scenes that Tessa Bailey writes. So I think in future I will not read her books anymore, because I hate full-on conversations doing a sex scene like this. Can you please shut up and doing it and talk afterwards about it? Thank you. I think the next book that I will talking about is Birthday by Meredith Russo. I give this 3 stars. I read this for the Bloomathon. This was from Turner Pages, a month-long readathon. I also joined the Remathon, but I will talk about this in a second. What the hell is going on outside? Please ignore the sirens, okay? Ignore it. Ignore it. And our team, I was in Team Forget Me Not, and our team book was Birthday by Meredith Russo. And Birthday by Meredith Russo is a book about a trans girl. And you follow her transition from being a boy to get to have her own thing, to becoming a girl. And you follow 2 persons, Morgan, who is the trans girl, and Eric, who is the best friend of Morgan. And you follow, they have both on the same day, they have the birthday, like they're born on the same day, and the parents of them were best friends, and they start having the birthday parties every time together. So you follow birthday, you follow both of them, just the 24 hours of the birthday and what they are doing this day. And this book comes with a lot of trigger warnings, also like with addiction, death of a parent, suicide, depression, all this kind of stuff. And the book was powerful, it was beautiful. I would say I can recommend this definitely reading for you. But the main thing that bothers me a lot is that you only follow them on their birthday. Like, I would love to see the other 364 days that you can follow them, especially when the story goes on and you come to the later birthdays and Morgan has her coming out, like that she's also like that she is a trans girl and stuff. I wanted to read that and you don't get it. You only get the birthdays, and I feel we are a lot of missing out that you can actually read, so I ended up giving this 3 stars. Let's talk about my Remathon books. One book that I read for the Remathon is Windbreaker by Victoria Aveyard. I give this 3 stars, and it just hurts my soul because yeah, I wished, you see that I annotated till here. Wait, this is the copy that I ended up reading. Also not, I switched to the audiobook because, I brain. But the audiobook is great, the German audiobook, by the way. I didn't listen to the English audiobook. I stopped annotating here. This is all the things that I didn't annotate. And I have Lucy's copy here that she sold to me. Thank you for that. I still think it's beautiful. And she annotated it too. So I'm really proud of you that you keep annotating this. And I stopped it. It's about multiple POVs, okay? This is a story that's based on Lord of the Rings and Guardians of the Galaxy. And you follow Korean, and she wants to go on the sea. She's a young girl, but she wants to travel. She wants to have an adventure. And her mother's a pirate. So she goes on the sea. And then you have also like... Korean is also like the chosen one for something, and 2 persons pick her up and go on this whole adventure. So they travel to one point so she can fulfill her chosen one thing. Like in Lord of the Rings with like the ring, she goes somewhere, okay? And you also follow the story of the villain, which is great. So you have multiple POV from different characters, but also from the good side and the bad side. So I ended up enjoying this. I was not overwhelmed by it, but I had a great time with it. So I ended up giving this 3 stars because for a 4-star and 5-star, I need something more. I need tears. I need a big excitement. There's a lot of things that I need for 4 and 5-star, and this book is not giving it to me. But I still want to read Bladebreaker. I pre-ordered Design Edition. I hope that I pre-ordered Design Edition, not just the pretty edition with the sprayed edges, but also like the signed copy of it, because I can't find my order anymore. But I will definitely read Bladebreaker. I will also read Bladebreaker. So yeah, but I can understand why many people are not writing about it. Let's talk about Gods and Monsters. I'm so surprised that this makes it even to a 3-star, because if you know my experience with Seven of Dove series by Sherry Maroon, you will know that I have not the greatest reading experience with these books. Seven and Dove, I think I give 3 stars. It was a solid start for a story. It could be built up better, like the world building could be better. It's trash. Let's say it honest, like if you're here for good world building, you will not find this in these books. Let's say it like that. Blood and Honey, I can't remember that book. I watched 4 videos in the end, where people are spoiling all of the books, what happened in the book. Even like Shelly, I watched a video from Shelly Maroon talking about Blood and Honey, what's happened in the book, and I can't remember anything. So we go into Gods and Monsters. Thankfully, Shelly Maroon did a little bit of recap in the first pages, like the characters are talking about what happened in Blood and Honey. They're not like previously in Blood and Honey, but they're just like, oh, can you remember that this and this happened? I'm like, thank you. So this was great. I actually enjoyed the first part of the book. I enjoyed the storyline of Lou, the story that also with the things that happen. I don't want to get more into detail what's happened exactly in the book because it will be a spoiler. But the things that happened to Lou, it was really interesting, and how all the people around her are solving this problem, how much are they caring for her. But then in the midst, around here, the problem got solved with Lou, and then the problem with Reed starts. And you follow his storyline, which is so confusing, it makes no sense. And I wished Shelby Maroon did not put this in this book, because it made the book 300 pages more long than it could actually be. Like, there could be 300 pages less if she didn't write like this whole Reed storyline in it, because it was actually also useless. Like, I think if you didn't write this into the story, they will have the same, like the story had the same outcome like they did in the end. So this is why I ended up 3 stars, and also like the way that you need to get to this end is not worth it. So yeah, but I'm surprised that I like the first part of the book. One book that I also read for the Marathon is Gallant. This was also the book club pick from Toronto Fetchers book club. This is the newest release from Schwab, and to be honest, I can't remember anything from the book. This is all I have to say, is that it was so underwhelming for me that I can remember it, but it was not bad. I still had a great reading time with it. This is all I can remember. I had a great reading time with it, but I can't remember nothing from this book. So maybe I will change the rating from Gallant, or at least the rating from The Invisible Life of Eddie LaRue, because I enjoyed definitely Eddie LaRue more than I enjoyed Gallant, and these 2 books can't have the same rating because they are not the same. I read 3 Bridgerton books, and I will talk about this. So I have a full in-depth review about each, at least for the 3rd to 8th book of the Bridgerton series, because I got the German arc for it. So I had an arc for it, so I read it. I have an in-depth review what I dislike and what I like for each book. So if you want to have an in-depth review about these books, go check out my Goodreads links. It's in the description down below. Maybe I will. You can read it there, okay? Because I'm not talking about this in here, because this will explode what I have to say about these books. So we'll keep it short. The first book that I read was the 3rd book. Of course, I read them in order. I didn't have the arc for the 3rd book. But the 3rd book is An Offer from a Gentleman. This was Benedict's book. And this was a Cinderella retelling. It was cute. But one thing that bothers me a lot, why I ended up giving this a 3 stars, is that Benedict doesn't know what a no means. It was not bad like Daphne did in the first book. But consent, baby, consent. Do you know what it is, Benedict? Do you know it? No, I don't think you don't. So this was just a big no for me, because he didn't accept a no for the first time, the second time, also like the 100th time he asked her, she didn't accept a no, and he didn't bother to even understand her why she says no. Like, this is beyond his brain cells that some people are saying no to him. A Bridgerton. How dare she? So this is why I never give this 3 stars. I have more details down in my Goodreads, okay? So let's read it. So the next one, this is out of order now, but the other third book, Bridgerton book that I give her 3 stars is To Sir Phillip with Love. This is the book from Eloise. Eloise in this book was okay. She was, I would not say that she's my, she's not the worst Bridgerton sibling, but I don't like her. I'm sorry. I would definitely, I enjoyed reading her story, but I'm 400% sure if I would meet her in real life, I would not like her. Let's say it like that. What was my problem with that book that I give it in the end 3 stars? It was Sir Phillip. He was egoist and an asshole. Trigger warnings, by the way, for this book is suicide, child abuse, suicide attempt, mental illness, and all these things happened on his side of the family, and he didn't see it. I have a full-on review on that in the Goodreads if you want to read it, but I'm sorry for that, but it has a lot of spoilers in it if you don't want to get spoiled, but I don't want to talk about this right now here, because maybe I will do a full-on Bridgerton video if you want to do this, if you want to hear this. And the last one I give 3 stars is It's in His Kiss. This is the book from Hyacinth. It's the same with Eloise. Hyacinth is like the same from the mindset like Eloise. I think she's also annoying as fuck, and when I met her in her real life, I also would stop talking to her mid-sentence. I would go away. To be honest, I could not. But this was not the problem of the book. I just think that her whole story was boring. There was nothing in it. Yeah, this was all. You know what? Let's keep talking about the Bridgerton books, but that we get now in my 4-star ratings. I actually enjoyed some, but it doesn't stop. The Bridgerton siblings are horrible, okay? These are horrible people. So the first 4 stars was the... Oh my god, I feel so bad now. It's Romancing Mr. Bridgerton. This was Penelope's story. If you watch the show, you already know what they mention or what they talk about in the story, or what are the problems. I enjoyed Penelope's story, really, but I only enjoyed Penelope's side of the story. What is my problem with Colin? He has a great potential to be an abusive husband. This is all I need to say for that. I have an in-depth review about it in the description, like I said, on my Goodreads. Check this out if you want to read this. But he was not a great fiance, and his crippling ego was the thing that I could be pissed off. Was the most of the time pissed off. Also, content warnings with this is bullying and body shaming. If you want to know, like they always mention that Penelope was fat, or like not as thin as the other girls. And do you want to know what it means to be fat in the Bridgerton world? You want to know? I hear yes. 120 pounds. When you go over 120 pounds, you're fat. Do you want to know what 120 pounds are, if you're not familiar with pounds? That's 58 kilograms. I would be in the Bridgerton world, I would be in Vale, in their eyes, because I weigh definitely more than 58 kilograms. But okay, if this is fat for you, this is so horrible. I hate this swim up. I hate the swim up so much. The last one from the Bridgerton books is the 8th book, the last book, the 8th book. Let's ignore the names of the titles, okay? The 8th book, I will mention this here somewhere here, how this book is called. But this was Gregory's story. He still has sibling that gets a story. He's not the youngest. The youngest is Hyacinth, but she gets a book before him. Because women need to marry younger, because otherwise they are like they will never get a man because they're old with 24. 24. Okay, but yeah, we get Gregory's story. Gregory was, I don't know what to say more. I think I enjoyed his story because he was not that bad of a Bridgerton boy, like not like his other brothers. He at least sometimes accept consent. I don't know what about the kidnapping, if this was a great idea, but it's okay. I would say it's not the worst thing that Lady Lucy experienced in this book. I actually enjoyed Lucy's side. Lucy is the female main interest in love interest in the story. I enjoyed her story a lot because I can relate to her a lot. She refers a lot to her that she is not the prettiest one, that always when people are standing next to her and her best friend, people are always looking at her best friend, and she's always the forgotten one. And I read this to a time when I was really down, and I felt this, and from head to toe I felt this to be the forgotten one, and people are not looking at you directly when someone prettier stands next to you. So I felt Lucy's storyline, I felt this on like a personal way. Like there were some things in it I was like, get it, yeah, I get you. So her full storyline was okay. But what I ended up giving this in the end 4 stars was the second epilogue. Actually, and I read the arcs that I got, but was all with the second epilogues. By the way, this one from the Gregory's book and from Francesca's book, these were the only second epilogues that are really good. The other one are just horrible. I wish I never read them, but this one really, I started crying while reading the second epilogue, and this was also Hyacinth's perspective, so I was like, okay, this book needs to be good. But it was really sad ending, sad but happy ending. I also got the German arc for it, but the audiobook version of it, but I liked it so much. I also pre-ordered this book, but I didn't receive this, and then I saw the German arc for it, and when I applied to that, I got it, and after I finished reading this, I got my physical copy of it, because it finally arrived in this household. But okay, 6 Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim. This is the German edition. I think it's cute, it's stunning. It has gold sprayed edges, like glittery, but in camera it looks like piss. But okay, ignore that. If you doesn't know what the book is about, it's about Princess Shuri. I think the audio narrator says Shuri, so I'm so sorry if it's wrong, but this is what I remember. And she has magic abilities. She lost her control on the day of her marriage, so she ran off, and now everyone is mad at her. And her stepmother is really angry with her, and then Shuri discovered something, and so her stepmother put a spell on her and her brothers, so that she is banned from this kingdom. And Shuri can not talk to someone, and she has like a head on her, and she gets lost, and she is on search for her 6 brothers that are cranes now. The only time they are cranes now. So I really enjoy the story of Shuri and her brothers, most of the time because I love the family bond between them, that they are also important for each other. Like almost like, of course you have like sometimes beef with your sisters and with your siblings. I mean, of course that happens. Like I have beef all the time with my sister. But the only thing that why I ended up giving this 4 stars instead of 5 stars is the sexism in the story. And I know that this is a retelling of like old fairy tales. You write the book, so why did you write the sexism in there? Like, woman needs to belong in the kitchen because they're women. Like, stop it, please stop it. So I ended up giving this 4 stars because just because it's a retelling, you don't need to write sexism in your book, okay? But I actually enjoyed this and I definitely want to read the next book. I have A Shadow in the Ember by Jennifer Armentrout. I give this also 4 stars. This is the prequel to From Blood and Ash, so you should read. This is a recommendation by Jennifer Armentrout. You should read From Blood and the first 2 books from Blood and Ash first, and then get to this story, and then get into the War of Two Queens. You can do it. It's, I think, not really necessary. I would definitely say if you want to read the From Blood and Ash series and you don't want to get spoiled for the 3rd book, I would say definitely don't read this before that. You read it afterwards, but you don't have to read it before you read the War of Two Queens. There are a few characters in this book that are in the War of Two Queens, and things got mentioned, but it also get explained again. So there's no need to read this first. I enjoyed my time with it. I think it's actually like the same as From Blood and Ash. Like, you have Sarah. She is like also like the maid and the chosen one, and she needs to marry someone to save the kingdom, and it's like almost the same storyline from the woman's side. The male love interest was different, definitely different, but it reminds me still a lot of From Blood and Ash. Like, I see the parallels in it, but I enjoyed reading it. I had a great time with it, and I definitely want to read the sequel to that. It comes out, I think, in November this year. The last 4 stars, I think, I need to check this in a second, but is the 2nd Percy Jackson book, Sea of Monsters, I think. I enjoyed my time with it. I enjoyed this a lot more than I enjoyed the first book. I'm not a bigger fan of some sentence choices that Riordan has in this book. A little bit of like slurs and stuff like that. And also like I will link how Nani's and Kelsey's reading work down there, because they're described as a lot better than I would do here. But there are some scenes in it where the one character wears an Hawaiian shirt, but they are not even close to Hawaii. Like, why though? And I mentioned this I noticed this also, but I really don't, and I'm honest, I didn't really notice this while reading it. I remembered this when they talking about this, but I've almost forgot about this. But I enjoy the dynamic between Percy and Annabelle in this book. I enjoyed a lot more, and also Tyson, the character Tyson. I just really like him. He's a sweet character, and this is why I ended up giving this book 4 stars. It was just because of Tyson. My last 4 stars is A Study in Seduction and Darling Hearts, book 1 by Nina Rowan. So this is the historical romance book I like to see. This is how you write historical romance. You have here a woman. Her name is Lydia. She's also a little sister she needs to take care of, but she don't want to get married. She was just want to be herself. She's good at math. She's so good at math that other men in the story asking her for her opinion on the stuff that they are doing the maths with. So good is she. Okay, and this is 1800s. Okay, and she meets Alexander Hall. He's the Viscount Northwood, and she meets him. And Alexander Northwood is like this English-Russian man. People are not liking Alexander's family because his mother ran away with like a Russian politician or a Russian man, and his parents divorced, and this was a huge thing back then. So his family is like in the socialist standards that they have before are like down here, and Lydia and him are meeting each other, and he's like this grumpy bad boy, but he's just grumpy because of all the responsibilities that he has, and he's not really a bad boy. And this is how I like my stories, okay? You have this character, he's grumpy, he's supposed to be the bad guy, but he is not the bad guy. He cares for his loved ones. He cares later than for Lydia. Of course, it's a historical moment, but what did you expect how the stories goes on? And he takes so much care of her that he don't want her to be like this little housewife. He wants her to do more math, to do more studies. Like, he wants her to be thriving in her career. He wants to have a career. Colin could never, from Bridgerton, to be honest. But I really enjoyed it. I can definitely recommend this to you. If you're not liking Bridgerton, I would say definitely check out A Study in Seduction, because this is a lot better than Bridgerton books. It really is. And now let's get to my 4 5 stars. The first one was Prison Healer by Lynette Noni. I got also the arc for it. So I listened to this on audiobook. I listened to this mostly in March and ended up, or not mostly, but this was the thing what I told you in my April TBR video that I need to finish. This was this kind of situation. I finished this on the first day of April because I have a little bit left. But I really enjoyed my time with it. I like the setting in the prison. There's a lot of trigger warnings that coming with the story. You have like the medical, you have torture, death, violence in it, self-harm, sexual assault, blood, rape and addiction. So if you're not a fan of that, I will not read that. And it definitely got mentioned in the story. But I enjoyed this kind of setting. I also enjoyed it that it takes a lot of time that the story goes on and develops. Like, the things that stands in the synopsis are happen like 40% into the story. It finally happens, okay? And then you have the trial situation. It reminds me a lot of like the actor, or but also in Tour of Glass, like Sage Mans with her trials, okay? It reminds me a lot of that, but the plot twist in the end, this is where I lost it, because this was something I will not say it was something new, but it was so shocking and surprise for me, and it happened. The amount of times that happened to me in the last couple of months with YA, I can count it on one hand, okay? So this is why I ended up giving this 5 stars. I definitely want to read the next books when I find time for it. So 1 5 star I also have. I got also the German arc for it as the audiobook version. So if you don't know, I'm a feminist. Hello. If you're not a feminist, why don't? But here, Women Are Only Pretty is a great start for people who want to know more about feminism. She mentions all the things that happen to women in this world without being passive-aggressive. There's, a slight like passive-aggressive in her writing style, but it's not that much like I experienced in other books about feminism. I also enjoyed it that she talks about problems that are common in like first world problems, like how you style yourself, if you shave your body, and some things like that. Also, of course, she mentions also sexual assault and rape. If this is your trigger warnings, she mentioned this in this chapter specifically when it gets mentioned. But I really enjoyed my time with it, so I would say definitely I can recommend this book to you if you're new to it. Also, if you already read some things, because she talks about things that I didn't read in other books. It's also like the pressure of being a woman, to reproduce yourself, to take care of child and stuff like that. Because other books that I read, I go more into detail what happened in third world countries, which is also important, definitely. I will link also some recommendations down in the description down below from other feminist books if you want. I think this was a German book, but I mentioned this also here. But I will link things down below, but it's really like common problems that she talks about, and this is why I enjoyed it so much. One Bridgerton book is missing, and I ended up giving this 5 stars. Okay, and this was the 6th book. This was When He Was Wicked, and this was Francesca's book. Francesca, aka the Forgotten One, because everyone in the Bridgerton family forgot her. And also when I started the book, I was like, who the fuck is Francesca? Of course she gets a book. But I was so surprised because I forgot about her. But I really enjoyed her story. Francesca goes through a lot in her life. She gets married young, but then her husband dies. And she also, this is in the synopsis, okay? But then she lives her life, but then she wants to have a family. She wants to have a husband again, but her the cousin of her husband that died is secretly in love with her. And then you follow their love story. And this was so heartbreaking because this was the first time that I read a book from Julia Quinn, and I really enjoyed it from start to the end, because the story of them was so heartbreaking. Also the problems that they have, like the problems that they have in the story was make so much more sense to me than every other Bridgerton book did for me. And the thing is, I followed the stories. Both of them were not really toxic to each other. Of course, there were a little bit of like a toxic thing in it, but it happens all with consent. Like, no one is abusive, no one rapes someone, no one is horrible to someone. They're having just a great time together, and I had a great time, and I completely lost it in the second epilogue. I already cried multiple times while reading the book, like just the book, but I completely lost it and cried for 30 minutes while reading the second epilogue. And this is what I meant with this happened with one others, because I was like so devastated. And the thing is, trigger warnings for this will be definitely okay, sexual content, of course, and we're having sex in there, miscarriage, death, infertility, grief, chronic illness, and the infertility storyline in this was just heartbreaking for me. And I don't want to have kids at the moment. Like, I don't have to deal with these types of problems at the moment, but still my heart broke at this point, okay? And normally it doesn't break, okay? So this is definitely the only recommendation that I can give you for all the Bridgerton books is, when you want to read one Bridgerton book, it's When He Was Wicked, because it's the only one where no one is toxic to each other. And the last one, was my last book of the month, was Nick and Charlie by Alice Oseman. This is a short novella, 1.5 hour long audiobook, 120 pages. I just loved it. You follow in there Nick and Charlie. You all know the Hudson series. If not, why? Why do you don't know this series? Okay. And you follow Nick and Charlie. They are already 2 years in the relationship with each other. Graduates and goes to college or university, and Charlie has still 1 year left. And they talking about each other and having big fight scenes, and my heart breaks. My heart was pieced back together, and then this break again. It was an emotional roller coaster in 120 pages, and I just love it here. I don't know what Alice Oseman did to my heart, but thankfully it's back together, because I lost it in the book. I also cried, okay? So this was all the books that I read. I hope I didn't forget one book, and I hope you don't all hate me now. If you hate me now, it's totally fine, because I hate myself too. So yeah, this was it. I will link everything down in the description down below. Also, like the my Goodreads, check this definitely out. I wrote for every book that I read a review, because I didn't know what to do with my time this month. If you give me a like and want to follow me, I will happy to have you here, and if not, it's also okay. And then I will see definitely you maybe in my next video. Bye!